work going. So if you can just tell us your name and what you do, and then we'll take it from there and look anywhere you want to, accept it.
Okay, well, my name is Randall Blaze, and I'm a contemporary Native American artist working in clay, bronze, and painting. And I developed this place as an art center for working with children on the reservation, and to highlight different artists from around the area and out of the area. And I work for the South Dakota Arts Council as a artist in schools dude.
And so you travel around to the different schools?
So I travel around to all the backwater towns in the state and work with kids for a week or two at a time.
Okay.
Teach clay and painting normally.
What do you think is to, well actually maybe could you tell us in any detail as far as the, what you see and the potential of the kids around here?
Well, I think most of the children here don't have access to viewing professional quality art, and they don't have access to equipment. So whatever they make, a lot of times doesn't get fired properly, and they don't get a hands-on experience with materials. So this center offers a change of pace for that, because this center houses a kiln and all the equipment that it takes for a child to come up and do workshops.
So what would a kid typically expect to partake in a course of, say, like a weekly workshop?
Oh, just start working with ceramic clay and basically making vessels, sculptures, whatever, over a period of several hours a day. Every day, going back and cranking on that.
So what made you come up with the idea to want to do this?
Because I wanted to get out of the public school system and have an environment where the children could come up here and see a professional environment. I've been a professional artist since the late 60s. I'm established as an artist, and I guess in a sense want to give back my knowledge to the children around here.
I guess as far as if a Lakota wanted to be an artist here, what would they run into, and what are some of the things, to any extent, what are some of the things that could be
If a young person wanted to be an artist and they were living on the reservation, they would have very little access to markets, very little access to professional talent, and very little access to where to market their work. And I think coming into an environment like this, not only do they learn the work, but they learn how to market, where to go, what it takes to get their work out in the public eye, how to work with galleries, how to do exhibitions around the country, how to apply, how to for the markets, the exhibitions, and so that's what this is all about, is teaching all that sort of thing. My lifelong experiences I can give back to the children who have an interest in developing their own skills.
And what do you see as far as being important in relation to kids being in touch with their native culture, as far as being able to move forward in life, and the importance of that, and as it relates to art?
What do I see? What?
Well, you know, the relation, if you just talk a little bit about the relationship between kids being in touch with their native culture, and art being a part of that, as part of their I want to say proper development, but healthy development. Yeah.
Traditional.
Yeah.
your feelings on that?
Well, I think that any child in the world today is brought up by the dealing with television, and I think that when it comes to the Sundance, UEP ceremonies, the UEP, that children aren't necessarily they don't necessarily develop relationship with that, unless they're in traditional families. Uh, so let's go back to that again. I got lost here.
That's all right. No, it's fun. It's fun. I think with in more direct, it's kind of a tough question, but the connections that you see between Lakota heritage and art itself, and how that's important.
Well, there's a whole, there's a 200, 300, 500 year history of art development in the traditional cultures, and I think that any artist, contemporary artist today is developing those ideas, the traditional and contemporary together, and I think that when a child can see those developments happening in the modern world, that it entices reservation life, I think, and tradition. Accentuates it.
Going back to that, when we were talking about reservation life the other day at the lodge, and you were just saying that life out here is magnificent, and we've seen different varieties of life and people's thoughts, but I would be interested in particularly in your thoughts about why life out here is magnificent, so that other people can have the idea that life out here doesn't have to be all that everybody knows about out here.
Well, I was down at the Heritage Center the other day, and this Asian came up and he said, asked me where I was from, and I told him Cooney Table, and he said, "Oh, we just came across Cooney Table. I said, it's such a desolate place." And I said, "What do you mean desolate? That's a dirty word, isn't it? I mean, a negative." And he said, "Well, there's nothing there. It's just wide open. There's nothing there." And I said, "Well, what's wrong with that? I mean, it's beautiful. I get these beautiful sunrises, these beautiful sunsets, antelope walking through my yard, deer walking through my yard. I got rabbits all over the place, ground squirrels. I wake up to meadowlarks and red-winged blackbirds. That's my symphony in the morning. I mean, what's desolate? And you walk down off the edge of the table, and you go into this moonscape, and it's just a beautiful, totally different environment. What's desolate? What could be more than that? Do you see a telephone pole out here? I don't see it. Do you see a barking dog from a neighbor? There's none out here. So I don't know. To me, it's just a absolutely pristine environment. One of the last on the planet, as far as I'm concerned.
Huge horizon. I mean, you can
Very
just see forever.
Yeah, we're still getting used to the big sky. We were at a thing the other day, and we were watching a lightning storm 60 miles away that looked like a light show that somebody had programmed into their board, and it seemed like it didn't get any closer or farther away. As it got later, it got smaller and smaller on the horizon, and it just looked like it was just stationary, and we were just kind of rotating away from it.
Beautiful around here.
Yeah, it's amazing. What would you want, I mean, other than what we just talked about, but what would you want the people of the world in general to know about this place? I know there's a lot of misconceptions about Pine Ridge or reservation life in general. What would you want to know that you don't think that they do?
Well, I think that this reservation pretty much is one of the last strongholds of pristine beauty, like Cooney Table and other places on the reservation, and I think that most of the articles I've ever read about the reservation in the last 20 years talk about this desolation, as this guy put it, and this negative, all this negative stuff, poverty and whatnot. But what on the other side of that coin is this area is rich in tradition. It's got some of the greatest chiefs that were ever alive on the plains come from this reservation. Right down the road, 5 miles from here is a stronghold where they did the last ghost dance, and I think that part of the traditional Indian life is still alive and kicking here. And so a person could run through the village, one of these villages, Manderson, and see the post office. It looks like a bunker, and the school. It's got dogs all over the schoolyard and whatever. And I don't disagree that it might look negative, but when you go into the sun dances and the the sweat lodge and the powwows, you see a culture that is still very much alive. And this is a stronghold of that culture, Pine Ridge Reservation.
As a Lakota artist, most people would say that it would be a long shot for you to actually make a living, and off of being an artist. But what would you have to say to anyone who might want to say the same thing to a Lakota kid on the reservation now?
Well, I think of my income as a professional artist, probably 10% of it comes from South Dakota. So when I finish my work, my bronzes, ceramics, paintings, I go out in the world and cities and market my work at major exhibitions, and that's where I make my money. And so I don't deal with the poverty. I come back here and live my life and enjoy being here. And I think that any child or developing artist that's going to project their work is going to get out of this state and out of this environment to do it. Doesn't mean you got to live in the city to do it, but it just gives me the freedom to live here and visit the cities and see multicultural aspects of life on the planet.
If there was more resources or more of an economy here, do you think people could stay on the reservation and maybe even sell, have a studio or gallery on the reservation? Do you think that would ever be possible?
No, I don't know what you mean by that exactly.
Well,
Do you think there should be a gallery on every street corner? Or?
No. I'm just saying that.
You think it's possible sometime in the future that artists could be self-sustained here and not have?
I don't think so, because I spent 20 years out in the Portland, Oregon area, and I found that I needed to do the same things, run around the country on exhibitions. I don't think there's ever going to be a sustainable economy here for that. There is for certain types of art, the lower end stringer art, what you call stringer art, beadwork, quill work, whatever. There's always markets for that. Cheap, inexpensive stuff, I should call it inexpensive. But I think in order to make it as a professional artist, you really have to get out of your own environment and get out in the cities and go to the major exhibitions, and that's how I've done it anyway.
What would you say some of the obstacles are that an artist has to overcome? Or just maybe even person, student, whatever, living on the reservation to become successful?
Living on the reservation, the obstacles of living on the reservation. I think that all the negative things you would find about the reservation, the alcoholism, the child abuse, any negative things you'd see in any social environment, that any child that grows up in this environment is going to be exposed to that, maybe a little more in a very poverty-stricken area like this. This is called the empowerment zone for a lot of reasons. It's isolated from the world for the most part, except through the media, and I think it takes a special kind of a person to be able to have the strength to overcome those obstacles, to even get themselves out into the world, and to become a person in and of themselves in a productive manner.
I know the roads are a problem here for kids to get into school, and transportation seems to be a large problem, with, especially single mothers, things of that nature, continuing their education on past elementary, middle, high school, etc. I'm sorry, middle, high school. Do you see the roads as being a big problem? Thoughts, feelings on roads?
I guess they're a problem. To me, they're an answer. I don't. If this road out here was paved across Cooney Table, there'd be bikers here 24 hours a day. The noise level would be unbelievable. There'd be more houses around here. I like the isolation. I really like it, and so I'm not a big fan of modernity, so to speak.
Well, what about the kids that get to school, for instance, or even just having some sort of public transportation that would be able to?
Well, I think they have that, don't they? I don't know.
They got a plot that's like $8 each way. It's ridiculous.
We hear a lot of stories of kids having to walk 5 miles or something just to get to where the bus picks them up.
Yeah.
And then it's $8 each way, so that's $16 a
Right.
trip. And yeah, if you're talking about kids going to school, they have I guess they have a public school system, school transportation buses that go to and fro in the mornings, correct?
Well, I've seen plenty of them, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess they do.
Yeah. I guess maybe the problem runs into when they've got a kid in daycare. I think maybe that was what
Yeah.
the thing they were talking about.
I suppose that happens all over the country though, doesn't it?
It does.
Pretty much. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing special about that here.
Like we were talking about the other day, this part of this whole endeavor was partially inspired by a YouTube video that Obama put out a couple days before the election, promising Native Americans, treaties are important. We're going to look at treaties and you're going to have a voice at the table, this or that. If you had anything particular that you would want to address with him, if you have anything, what would that be?
A message to Obama, if you will.
Well, I don't know. I live a pretty simple life here, other than my art. I don't know. I don't know to have anything to say to Obama.
Good enough.
Good luck. Must be a hard job.